Good morning, Husker fans. Welcome back to the Husker Big Red YouTube channel. I'm Chris Peterson, and joining me as always is Danny Gillette. And we're back for another episode of the podcast. And we're going to look back at the previous week in Nebraska athletics. We've got the third week of fall camp in the books, another scrimmage. We've got the single-digit numbers handed out, more preseason prognostications. We got some more Kool-Aid drinking going on. And then we had the Volleyball Alumni Scrimmage, and the season starting on Friday. So we got a top 5 volleyball matchup on Friday. So the season, I guess in that sense, is here, and in football, it's getting very close. So we're gonna break it all down. And before we get into it, please make sure that you guys hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Get in the comment section. And Danny, how are you on this Monday morning?
Good. I'm a little thrown off by our square placement again, but I'm doing well. I'm excited for volleyball. I'm excited for football. And we were just talking off air before we got on here that we're going to be doing basketball preview shows soon enough. So, I mean, everything's starting back up again, and I'm really fired up to get going.
Good time to be a sports fan, to be a Nebraska fan, but just to be, the fall is a great time to be a sports fan. You know, college football, NFL, you got the World Series, you got WNBA playoffs. I mean, you got, everything you could possibly want. MLS,
NHL.
even if you're into soccer, NHL. I mean, it's, PGA. There's still some PGA Tour. I don't know too much about NASCAR, but I'm sure they probably have races. I don't know. I have a buddy who's a real big NASCAR fan, so I should know, but I do not. So, but anyway, I do know some about Nebraska football. And last week they wrapped up their third week of fall camp. Although some people probably would say that I don't know about Nebraska football.
I was going to say, if you ask some people, they'd probably be like, "These guys know absolutely nothing." So I don't know.
Which is fine. It is a fan podcast. So I mean, I like to. It's from a fan's perspective, so you can agree or disagree or whatever. I'm not saying that I'm the foremost expert, but I do love this program. Probably too much. I'll say that. Probably too much. It would probably be healthy if I didn't invest so much of my happiness in the success of Nebraska athletics. But here we are. That's where we're at.
This team completely ruins my weekends a lot of the time, and I'm working on doing a better job of not letting them ruin my weekends. But man, it's tough.
Yeah, it's a therapeutic process, but it is what it is. So
hopefully
looking back at fall.
Yeah,
hopefully that will help. Yeah, it's tough if you lose both days.
Yeah, yeah, it's been a tough couple of years. I'm ready for winning.
Yeah, because if you've got someone to pick you up on Sunday, it makes it a little better. But when both days are just down the tube, that makes it tough. So, so third week of fall camp, is in the books. We had another scrimmage over the weekend on Saturday. Matt Rhule met with the media. What are some of the things that you have kind of taken away just from week 3, or maybe from the scrimmage, or just the latest things that you've kind of heard about fall camp?
Well, Mike Eckler is putting a really strong focus on trying to tighten up the special teams unit, and he's a very good speaker, a lot of good quotes, and you could tell that he means business, and that should come as a surprise to nobody. But it's just refreshing to hear, somebody, on the special teams unit as a special teams coach in the room, putting such focus and attention to detail. And that's not a shot at Ed Foley. I just think Mike Eckler is obviously at another level. He's one of the most respected special teams coaches in the country, and just from the way he talks and the passion he has for special teams, it's very evident.
Yeah, and I've said that before, but I'll say it again. I do think that the special teams are going to be much improved. I think they're going to be more of a weapon this year. I do think it's interesting that Matt Rhule said they really haven't had anybody step forward in the kicker competition, with Kyle Cunanan or Tristan Alvano or John Hall. So I'm not really sure what, who's going to step forward in that. I don't know if we really have any idea who the kicker is going to be, in that first game against Cincinnati next week. Eckler did bring in the transfer, so maybe he saw something there. He does probably have the most experience out of all 3, but John Hall did do a pretty solid job down the stretch. So I don't know, have you heard anything? What's your sense on the kicker battle?
Well, it's interesting because a year ago we weren't sure who the kicker was going to be because there was an injury and inexperience. Now we don't know who the kicker is going to be because all 3 kickers this year are really, really good. So it's kind of it's kind of a complete opposite from last year. I haven't really heard much about the kicker battle, but I think it's going to be very interesting to watch. I'd be comfortable with all 3 coming in, and I understand there's probably some trepidation about Alvano, but I have confidence that he can get back to where he was, at the high school level, and even he showed flashes of it in 2023. So I think it's a good problem to have. And one of the things that was interesting to me was that Rhule noted that they had to work on tackling and that it improved over the course of the week. And he said there was only one missed tackle during the scrimmage on Saturday. And to me, I think that's important because, and this wasn't just a Rhule problem, but we've seen Nebraska tackling issues for years, right? So I'm glad that they're addressing that head on. And one of the other things was that Dana Holgerson talked about stringing together drives, and that the team was efficient at the scrimmage on Saturday in doing that. And finishing drives, especially finishing in the red zone, is something that, again, not solely a Rhule problem. It's been a Nebraska problem for years. And so I'm glad they're starting to work on that too. So not like huge breaking news, but just a couple tidying up of things. And so that was nice to hear.
Yeah, it was good to see that the tackling, or good to hear that the tackling has been better. He definitely sounded like he'd like to see more, I guess, more young players step up, or more of the depth pieces step up. The second, he talked about the second and third team guys, and I know that seems a little, like, oh, why would you need your second or third team guys? But in the Big Ten, you do a lot of times. You are going to need. It's a battle of attrition, in that conference. So hopefully, they get to a point after those, not preseason games, but Akron and Houston Christian, hopefully they feel better about their depth, after those games. And that should give them the opportunity to play a bunch of guys and get more experience and kind of, settle things down. But looking ahead, there's still some interesting position battles. We don't know who the starter is going to be at left tackle between Gunnar Gatula and Elijah Pritchett. And there could be some other issues there with Pritchett. And then we don't really know on the right side either. I definitely feel much more strongly that it's going to be Teddy Prochazka. Like, I think that there are three, I think you got Teddy, Pritchett and Gatula, I think, are probably the three best tackles. And then Tyler Knack, I think, is just a little below that. So yeah, it's I think Prochazka is going to be the starter on the right side, and that's kind of where that goes. But I still think that this week it still seems like they're making some decisions. So I'm not sure when they're going to release the first depth chart, but maybe it'll be like Monday, or maybe before then. But hopefully we'll find out soon.
One of the things that I thought was interesting was that Rhule noted that they wanted to call the scrimmage kind of tight. They had a Big Ten referee crew, and he said a lot of the penalties were just penalties of aggression, not like pre-snap penalties or things like that. And honestly, I'll take penalties of aggression. I'm tired of the pre-snap penalties and things like that. I want this team to be tough. I'll take the penalties of aggression. You obviously don't want them every drive, but hey, if I don't know, if Teddy needs to shove a guy and he's protecting Dylan from stuff after the play, I'll take that penalty all day.
Yeah, for sure. Stuff like that's, there's definitely good penalties to have. That's one I think would be a good penalty. What trying to think now what I was just gonna say. Oh yeah, and then we were talking about the missed tackles. One of the guys who caused the missed tackle was Isaiah Mosey, and Matt Rhule had said. So that was another positive moment, I think, for
again,
the
not necessarily a bad thing.
yeah, making a big run. So I mean, Mosey and Nelson keep Makai Nelson keep putting themselves in that conversation. Quentin Ives did come back this week as well from injury, so who knows what his role could be next Thursday. I'm not sure if he'll be kind of up and running quick enough to get on the field, but they definitely could use a big back like him, that size. So yeah, I don't know, this Cincinnati game is going to be interesting, and this will be our last week without college football, because Saturday we're going to have some games where we'll have the Iowa State Kansas State game, which should be kind of interesting. So yeah, it's a good time to be a college football fan. The wait
is what I'm looking at. I can't wait for that.
Yeah, well, the first weekend, there's going to be some really good games that weekend. Clemson and LSU,
Miami, Notre Dame.
Yeah, Miami, Notre Dame. So yeah, we'll find out a lot that first weekend, and then the second weekend you got Oklahoma, Michigan. There's some other good games, good matchups that weekend too. So, of course, if if things are still going the way that it's been going, though, we might not get these matchups anymore. That's with a lot of these Big Ten teams, and
Yeah.
so I don't know, maybe that's another topic we could discuss. Did you see the Big Ten's insane playoff proposal?
I did not catch that. No. So you're gonna have to fill
Oh,
me in
so
here.
yeah, so the Big Ten's latest proposal, because their 16-team thing is
Mhm.
getting shot down. So now their idea is to go to like a 28-team tournament where the SEC and the Big Ten would get 7 guaranteed berths, and then the Big 12 and the ACC would each get 5 guaranteed berths. Conference championship games would go away, so it'd be no more conference championship game weekend.
That's good. I mean,
But yeah, so
I don't
like
know.
20, 24, 28 teams. But I
That's
think 28 is there.
that's it's kind of stupid. I don't know. I mean, that's too much.
Yeah, I think it's dumb. It's just it's really dumb. I think it's dumb. Um,
I like the
I
16. Like I could get behind the 16 teams for sure. 28 is just I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I could get behind 16 teams. I think the problem what I think they should do is just go to 16 teams, get rid of the conference
Yep.
championship games. We
Yep.
don't need them anymore.
Nope.
Just if Oregon and Ohio State finish 8-1, then they're co-champs of the Big Ten. If 3 teams finish 8-1, then they're co-champs. Like, who cares? Like, let teams celebrate it. It'll be better. That would be better for everybody, because then players, coaches, different schools can say they're conference champions, and then they can all still get selected into the playoff. And we don't need to play these meaningless games that, frankly, probably hurt some of your chance. I mean, like, it's the more games you have to play, playoff games, the more wear and tear you're going to have on your team. So why are you forcing, like Penn State and Oregon last year, to play a playoff
Yep.
caliber game when it really didn't mean anything, except for Oregon got a first round bye and Penn State didn't? But if you have a 16-team playoff, then it really won't matter outside of seeding. And so, get rid of that conference championship game, make that the first weekend of the playoff. Play the sixth round of 16, then about 10 days after, play the quarterfinal, play the semifinal on New Year's Day, and then play the championship on January 8th and be done with it. That would fix the problem. But now, like last year, it was in a January 20th. It just was like, God, we're still playing college football. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah,
And
it kind of
so,
lost its luster, didn't it? I mean,
yeah.
and my thing is, I get the Monday night prime time, but I would prefer the national championship to be on a weekend day.
Yeah, I agree. A Saturday would be cool. I think they're worried because they're competing with the NFL playoffs at that
Wild card
point.
weekend, or yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah. Okay.
I guess I can understand that part of it, but
But now they have
yeah,
NFL
just
games on Monday night too for the wild card, so I don't know.
yeah, well, they do now. They do have the one
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
so I guess that's what they're trying to have it on divisional weekend so they can. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, last year I didn't really pay that much attention to the semifinal games. I mean, I watched a little bit of them, but it's not like it. Yeah, it's too many games, and 28 would be way too many teams. Like, there's just. I mean, the FCS playoff is cool, and I think they've got 24 teams right now, but it's just, to me, even that's way too watered down as an FCS fan, because it's like, there's only 3 or 4 teams that have a chance to win it. I mean, like,
Yeah.
even it's North Dakota State or South Dakota State or whatever. Like, even if, no matter how far you expand the playoff, it doesn't really expand the number of teams that can win the championship. I mean, it's like, even if you get hot or whatever, like, there's only so much there's only so much ceiling you can go, right? You can only outplay your own talent, I guess, to a certain extent. So I just don't ever see any team like ranked in the 20s ever making a serious run at the national championship in a playoff situation. So, like, what are we even doing here?
Yeah, no, at first glance, I don't like this proposal at all, and I can understand why people hate the Big Ten and SEC even more with this proposal.
Yeah.
I can.
I think this is yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I think this is the Big Ten's more than because the Big Ten's been trying to get this 16-team thing in. So, I mean, there's good team things in it, but just let's have
Like,
a
basically have your
straight.
whole conference making the playoffs.
Yeah, like what?
No,
Yeah, that's just yeah,
well, I guess
but yeah,
not really. You could.
I mean, but so, like, last year, I think I read this, so I'm not sure if it's 100% accurate, but it was. I think Sean Callahan wrote it, so most likely is.
Yeah.
But he said that Illinois, Iowa, and Michigan would have made the playoff last year, under this current format. So,
Which would have been weird. Well, maybe
I
not
mean,
Illinois.
Michigan did have some. I mean, Michigan did beat Ohio State, I guess. So I mean, they at least have that going for them. But it's like, should a 7-5 team be in the playoff though? I mean, I don't think so. So
I
I
mean,
mean,
by
it's
that
just
logic, we were very close to making the playoffs last year.
well, yeah. If we had beaten Iowa, probably we would have probably been. So I mean, if Nebraska had beaten Iowa in that last game, did they deserve to be a playoff team at
No,
7-5? No, I don't think
no.
so either. Like, I mean, so
Kind
I
of
don't like
waters
that
down the
format.
playoff itself, you know.
Yeah, it does, and that's the thing is you're just I mean I do like settling it on the field, but I don't want to see it go beyond 16, and so we'll see what happens. It's got they probably should have stuck with 8. They probably should have went to 8 and called it good and just
Yeah,
been like
yeah. Now it's
four
just
conference four conference champs. But see, that's the thing is it's like even if you do that, you're gonna. This is why they did 12 because the big is the Big 12 champion ever going to be ranked in the top 10? So how do
no.
you have a team that's constantly ranked, a conference champion that's always ranked outside the top 10, making an 8-team playoff? So that's why they did the 12-team playoff, and so you could get a group of 5 team in there too. And like I understand the group of 5 team being in there, but the Big 12 champion in some years is going to feel like a group of 5 champion,
Yeah,
and
I agree. Yeah.
So and I'm not trying to harsh on the Big 12, but that's just the reality of it. That's just their talent level. They do have depth, like but they're not the deepest conference in college football. Like there's no, Arizona State, Colorado, any of those teams, if they were Big 10 teams last year, they would have had worse records. Like absolutely. And I don't
feel
think
like
Arizona's.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say I don't think Arizona State was better than Nebraska. I mean, last year, okay, they were better than Nebraska because they had
Last
that
year,
super
yeah.
good running back, but they're ranked like 11th this year. I think that's crazy. I think they're way overrated, and I don't think that they're. If you put Arizona State in the where would you rank them in the Big 10? Like, I don't even think they're a top 5 team.
No, probably like
I wouldn't
11.
put them ahead of Illinois. I wouldn't put them ahead of Michigan. I really think that they're, I think USC and Nebraska could make strong cases for them for being better than them. So it's good to be the king of a weak conference, I guess, but we'll see how that works out.
I was just gonna say the Big 12 is very even for their own conference. Like I feel like that's a pretty good conference in terms of level of competition. But yeah, I don't think any Big 12 team would make the college football playoff.
Right? Yeah, if it was like a 8-team or like the 4 team. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. To switch back to a more Nebraska centric topic, we got the single digits were finally completely announced. There was a little bit of doubt, a little bit of question. I thought that Dylan Raiola was going to switch his number to number 1. I honestly did, but it ended up being Sayer Wright who took number 1. So we've got Javin Wright, excuse me, number 0, Sayer Wright number 1, Ja'Cory Barney number 2, Marcus Buford number 3, Janarin Bonner number 4, Riley Van Poppel number 5, Dane Keys wearing number 6, Malcolm Hartzog 7 again, Deshaun Singleton 8, Vincent Shavers 9 will be the last one. So what are your thoughts on the single digit numbers for this season?
I thought it was going to be Dylan Raiola at number 1 too, but the more and like multiple people brought this up to me, he's done a lot of branding with number 15, and to change it from 15 to 1 from a branding perspective would be a pain in the ass. So I get that. But I love all the single-digit numbers. I really do. It's a good mix of the youth, Shavers and Barney, and then you have the mainstays, the veterans, Bonner, Javin Wright, Malcolm Hartzog. You've had guys that have been there for a while and have, given their all to this program. So I think it's a really good mix of guys. And then you have Sayer Wright, who is going to be one of the best corners in the Big Ten. You could book it. And so it's a really good mix. I really like this group. It's also kind of interesting just to see, 2 Florida guys get the single-digit numbers. Hopefully that's something that can be used as a tool to recruit in the state a little bit more too.
Yeah, it's I did think that Dylan was going to be number 1, but 15 does make sense for him. I mean, that was also that's kind of got some lore in Nebraska history with it being Tommy Frazier's number. Yep. So I think he picked that for a reason. I do think that he probably had the support of his teammates to be, a single digit number. Yeah. So we'll see how that works out. But yeah, Sayer Wright definitely deserved it. It is interesting to me that we've got 4 of the 10 guys are defensive backs. So doesn't, and then we got 2 linebackers. Most of the guys are on defense. So Barney and Dane Key and Bonner. So we've got three receivers, 2 linebackers, a D lineman, and 4 DBs. So it's kind of an interesting makeup. I think that does, kind of reflect the strength of the team outside of the quarterback position, outside of there not being, offensive linemen, because I do think this offensive line is going to be pretty good. But yeah, I like the tradition. Kind of makes it something, gives the guys something to work for, and kind of gives fans something to look forward to. So on that note, with more preseason that we're coming to the end of the off season and the preseason and all the prognostications and the Kool-Aid drinking. Anyway, we have another Kool-Aid drinker. Nebraska has converted another Josh Pate, now of On3, another guy that On3 basically has everybody now. So
yeah, they do.
In terms of the national college football people. But Josh Pate has put out his 12-team playoff prediction. He put it out last night. He's predicting Nebraska as the number 11 seed to, not only make the leap under Matt Rhule, but make a really big leap and get into the playoff. And other people have said, like, oh, Nebraska's a playoff sleeper, yada, yada. But he's putting Nebraska in the playoffs. So what do you think about Josh Pate drinking the Kool-Aid?
I love it, but I've done this Kool-Aid drinking for like the past 3 seasons now, so I don't know. I like I said, I would love that. And I love Josh Pate, but I just and I want to believe in the Matt Rhule 3rd-year leap, and it has been proven, but it just seems like Nebraska gets all the rough luck sometimes. So I'm just gonna hold my breath, see what happens, and if it happens, I'd be ecstatic. I would be so happy. So I do think it's realistic with the talent, but I'm very hesitant to put them as a playoff team right now.
Yeah, I mean, I predicted them to do it before the season. So, I guess I didn't really predict. I predicted them to win 10 games. I do think there's a chance they could win 10 games and not make it. I mean, it's not just the way that the seeding works out. But here, just to give you a perspective of this playoff, so we've got Penn State is the number 1 overall seed. So I don't buy that.
I don't buy that either. No,
you're going to be wrong on that one, Josh Pate. Alabama's number 2. Texas is number 3.
Yes.
Alabama or Oregon is 4.
Yeah.
So then we've got Clemson 5.
Yeah, they have a nasty defensive line.
So one of his quarterfinal matchups would be Clemson 5 against Boise State 12. So he's got Boise State back in there.
Boise State always seems to be in there no matter what, doesn't they?
And our game would be against Notre Dame, Nebraska, Notre Dame. That would be, God, the TV people would just be so excited if that happened.
That would be I would be excited. I mean, that would be a great game.
Outside of Notre Dame against Ohio State or Michigan, like Nebraska Notre Dame's like the best matchup that you could possibly have.
Miami Notre Dame too, if they meet in the
playoff. that would be good. But
the old Catholics versus convicts.
I almost think the Nebraska I think the TV numbers would be bigger with Nebraska.
I would love that. I would love that. That'd be so awesome. And quite honestly, I love Marcus Freeman as a head coach. So,
and then so it'd be interesting because he's got Florida at 8 against Georgia number 9. That would be an interesting. Just move that game back to Jacksonville. Play it there.
I'm not buying the hype on Florida yet, but they do have a tough schedule, and I do think that they could make something of it if they win some of these games. But I'm holding off on DJ Lagway for right now.
And then Ohio State as the number 7 seed with Arizona State as the 10 from the Big 12. So that to me is interesting. I'm trying to think like what. So he's got to have Ohio State with 2 losses if you're the 7 seed. So I'm thinking Michigan, and he has them losing to Penn State, obviously. So I do not see Penn State. I don't see Penn State going into Columbus this year and beating Ohio State in Columbus. I just don't see that happening.
No.
If it was in Happy Valley, then I could be wrong. I mean, at some point, like Penn State has to break through, but I just, I thought that
James Franklin.
Or that's what I think. Or Drew Aller, yeah, that's what I think. So I mean, unless this Ohio State team, unless Julian Sayin really isn't as good, right away as I think he's going to be, but all their quarterbacks are good, and they've got 3 NFL receivers and 1 million NFL, like every single, you know what I mean? Like they're just so heavily recruited. I really. And he, Ryan Day just done it with CJ Stroud. I mean, Kyle McCord, Will Howard. I mean, I really think that the quarterback's going to be fine. So, and the defense, I think they'll be okay. I honestly think Matt Patricia is going to do a better job than most people think. So
Yeah, because people only remember the offensive coordinator Matt Patricia, and I will say I have given Ryan Day a lot of crap for falling into a good situation and then just starting to win, but the results for him are there. So I mean, I kind of got to give, and winning the national championship, obviously, that's big for him too. So I kind of got to give him his flowers here.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, he barely has lost any games, outside of the Michigan. He's beaten everybody else for the most part. So it'll be interesting to see if Penn State can finally get him. Oregon, when I look at that ranking, Oregon seems a little high to me, but
Alabama. Did you say Alabama too? Or
yeah, I think
that's way too high.
I don't know. Alabama's pretty, like, if you look at the I'm not saying the computers know everything, but if you look at the ESPN, like, they're right in there. They're like number 2 or 3. I think people are underrating Alabama, and I think they're underrating Kalen DeBoer as a head coach. I do think he's one of the best.
I do like Kalen DeBoer, but I don't know.
I think their defense is going to be better, and I think the offense is going to be fine. I think he's an offensive genius, and this guy's won everywhere he's, like, whether it's been NAIA, he's won national championships at that. I mean, he took Washington to a national championship, and I think that, I know that they're a Big Ten program, but they hadn't sniffed that level in decades. So I don't think it's crazy. I think it's probably based off, SEC schedules too.
Which is why I think Florida is in there, because Florida has a really difficult schedule.
Yeah. So if I was to change, I would probably put LSU in there, and then I think I would have Clemson in my top 4. I really think Clemson's going to be really good.
People are sleeping on Clemson.
Yeah, Cade Klubnik, I think, might win the Heisman this year, honestly.
And their defensive line is probably the best in the country.
Yeah, and Klubnik is a really good quarterback. I mean, Dabo's won before, and they don't have that difficult of a conference. So if they can win that first game against LSU, I think they're going to be a tough team. So, but yeah, main point, Nebraska seeded 11th. We also had Nebraska projected for the Las Vegas Bowl from ESPN to face Utah, which would be not a major disappointment. I think they would have to win, at least eight games to get into the Las Vegas Bowl. So, hopefully I would rather see them in the Citrus Bowl or the ReliaQuest Bowl if it came down to, that. But anything, I guess, that's anything with 8 wins or more this year, I'll give Matt Rhule a passing grade for.
Anywhere that's warm, right? Because a lot of fans didn't like going to New York in December, but they showed up still. And Las Vegas, home of the prestigious Big Ten headquarters, because when everybody thinks of the Big Ten, they think of Las Vegas, Nevada. But anyway, I wouldn't be like happy, like overjoyed with the fact that we would go to the Las Vegas Bowl, but that'd be acceptable. I mean,
I do. Yeah, I think it would be.
I want to aim higher, but
yeah, some people would be, kind of upset about it, but I mean, I don't know. Well, I think if Nebraska makes the playoff this year, that would be great. I do think that would be, like a year ahead of, the way that I have it in my head, the timeline. I think year 3, but I think the way that the schedule sets up gives them a great opportunity to be ahead of a schedule a little bit. So
yeah, I don't think we're going to be trying to fight for bowl eligibility this year towards the end of the season. So I think it's going to be a matter of what bowl we go to.
Yeah, hopefully we have bowl eligibility clinched after game 6. That's my prediction. So we'll see if that holds up or not. And then so we'll wrap up the show with some volleyball talk. We had the alumni match on Saturday. The 2025 team won an exciting match, three sets to 1. Harper Murray led the way. I think she had 12 kills. Andy Jackson had 11. Becca Leak had another solid game. I think she had like 8 kills and 4 blocks. All of those kind of starting players for Nebraska hit the ball really well. Their overall percentage was .295. You'd like it to be above 300, but considering they switched through so many players, I thought they did a really impressive job. And the alumni guys, it was great to see them back, and they still put together a quality performance, I thought.
Yeah, it was good to see the alumni, and good to get everybody back. And an event like that just shows how deep the tradition is for the volleyball program. And I mean, heck, Danny Busboom Kelly's the coach, and there's tradition there too, obviously. And so it was great to see everybody. the current group looked good, and the season opener is Friday. So I mean, I think it's going to be a really exciting year. You talk about national championship prognostications. That's our word of the day. I think this volleyball squad is right up there.
Yeah, they got to have a great chance. And we learned, I think, about what the starting lineup will be, this week for Friday's match against Pitt. It could change, but the starting lineup against the Alumni, you had Lainey Choboy at the libero, filling Lexi Rodriguez's old spot. You had Bergen Riley, who was the setter, who took I mean, she had most of the sets. She had, like 30 some assists. Flynn Campbell only had 10. So I think, you can read into that what it is. Harper Murray obviously starting, Andy Jackson, Rebecca Alik, and then Virginia Adrino, the freshman from Italy, was the other starter. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I think that will change. There's obviously a lot of talent behind those guys. Taylor Landfair also was in the starting lineup as well. So pretty similar group that we saw to last year. A couple of newcomers in there, but for the most part, all the guys that are going to be, or all the the ladies that are going to be playing, they were part of that championship team last year, outside of a few additions here or there. And Danny Busboom Kelly, I mean, she was in the national championship match. I mean, how many times do you lose a coach like John Cook, a true legend, and then you get as elite a coach as there is in the sport, a coach that was that close to winning a national championship last year at Louisville. So there's no reason for the expectation to be anything else than national championship or bust for the Huskers in 2025.
And I love that John Cook's staying in the area as the general manager and working with the Omaha Supernovas, because I do think he's a great ambassador for volleyball in the state, and it keeps the ladies home if they go sign with the Supernovas. So I think that's really great too. He's never too far from Nebraska volleyball in some sort of capacity. So I'm excited for this season. I've watched matches. I'm not too familiar with all the rules yet, but I'm getting there. So I'm gonna watch a lot more this season for sure.
Well, Friday's match, the season opener, would be a good way to start. It's the American volleyball, basically the coaches kind of classics, kicking things off. So it's going to be in Lincoln this year, which is going to be pretty sweet. And we're going to have volleyball. There'll be the volleyball team will be taking on Pittsburgh in a matchup of two Final Four teams from last year. Nebraska played them in the Final Four 2 years ago. Pitt's made it 4 consecutive seasons. They're ranked 4th, I believe, in the AP poll, maybe even 3rd. I have to double check. But either way, it's going to be a top 5 matchup. It's going to be on Fox national television, 6 p.m. Central Time. So Big Time volleyball will be starting Friday night. So you can take in your first match of the season there, Danny.
Yeah, I can't believe we're talking about volleyball matchups already and football. It's all coming quick. It's all happening really fast, but I feel like this could be a very successful couple months for Nebraska athletics.
Like I said earlier, the wait is almost over. So as we help with that wait, please make sure that you guys, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, get into the comment section, turn on your notifications so you don't miss any of our future content. We've got our live chats, our weekly videos. So make sure you're keeping up with all of that. And we'll be back for another episode on Wednesday. So look out for that. And as always, go Big Red.
Go Big Red.